All right, we're about to take a tour of the single most complex and powerful object known in the entire universe. And you know what the craziest part is? You have one. It's sitting right inside your head as we speak. So let's get into it.
So let's just start with a quick question to get those neurons firing. What do you think is the most powerful and, frankly, most complicated computer on Earth? I'll give you a hint. It's not some supercomputer tucked away in a lab or a secret government project.
You guessed it. It's your brain. The 3-pound marvel of biological engineering that's processing the light from your screen, the sound of my voice, and on top of all that, forming opinions and thoughts about it all at the same time. It's just wild.
To really get our heads around this incredible machine, we're going to structure our tour in 3 main parts. Think of it like we're starting in the basement and working our way up. We'll start deep inside with the brainstem and cerebellum, the stuff that keeps you running. Then we'll move up to the limbic system, your emotional headquarters. And finally, we'll get to the cortex, the wrinkly outer layer where all the higher-level thinking happens.
Okay, so our first stop is the oldest part of your brain. This is the core system that keeps you alive without you ever having to think about it. This is your body's survival autopilot.
Let's start our tour way down at the very base, right where the spinal cord kind of swells as it enters the skull. This area right here, this is the brainstem. It's the brain's essential, non-negotiable core, and it's responsible for your most fundamental survival functions.
And what's so incredible is how all this just works, automatically. Right at the base of the brainstem, you've got the medulla, which handles your heartbeat and your breathing. Thank goodness you don't have to remind yourself to do that, right? A little higher up is the thalamus, which is basically the brain's grand central station for sensory information. It's directing the sights and sounds you're experiencing right now to all the right places. And woven all through that is the reticular formation. You can think of that as your brain's alertness dial, filtering out distractions and keeping you conscious and focused.
Now, attached to the back of the brainstem is this structure that honestly looks like a miniature version of the main event. This is the cerebellum, which literally translates to little brain.
Don't let the name fool you, though. While it might be little, its job is absolutely massive. The cerebellum is what coordinates all of your voluntary movements and balance. Think about riding a bike or catching a ball. You're not consciously thinking, okay, now I need to lean left a little, now pedal harder. No way. That smooth, automatic coordination, that is the magic of your cerebellum at work. It's the home of your muscle memory.
Okay, so we're moving up from basic survival functions. Now we're arriving at the next layer, the emotional core of your brain. This is where your feelings, your deepest drives, and your most powerful memories are born.
This group of structures is called the limbic system, and it's nestled right between those older, instinctual parts we just saw and the newer, higher-level thinking areas. It's kind of like the bridge between raw survival and conscious thought, and it's home to some seriously important players. To really understand how powerful this system is, let me tell you about a classic experiment, but I'll frame it as a riddle. Ready? Why would a rat willingly choose to run across a painfully electrified grid over and over and over again? It wasn't to get food, and it wasn't to get water.
The answer is just mind-blowing. The rat was trying to get to a little pedal in its cage, and every single time it pressed that pedal, it delivered a tiny, completely harmless electrical pulse to one specific spot deep inside its brain.
That little zap created a feeling that was so intensely pleasurable, so rewarding, that the rat would literally endure pain just to get another hit. It was even more motivating than basic survival needs like hunger.
Well, that little pleasure spot the researchers stumbled upon is in a structure called the hypothalamus. It houses the brain's incredibly powerful reward centers. But it's not just the brain's pleasure palace, it's also a master regulator. It directs all your body's maintenance stuff, like telling you when you're hungry, thirsty, or too hot, to keep everything in perfect balance.
Now, the hypothalamus has a couple of very important neighbors. First, you've got the amygdala, these 2 little almond-sized clusters that are basically your emotion centers, especially for intense feelings like fear and aggression. And right next to that is the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped part that's in charge of processing your conscious memories, from facts and events.
And this is where it gets really cool because it perfectly shows the link between memory and emotion. The amygdala and the hippocampus are a team. When something emotionally intense happens, whether it's super exciting or really scary, the amygdala basically flags it as important. It tells the hippocampus, hey, pay attention, you need to save this one. This is exactly why you can remember your first kiss or maybe a frightening car accident with almost perfect clarity, even years later. So we've covered survival, we've covered emotion, now we arrive at the final stop on our tour, this magnificent wrinkled outer layer of your brain. This is the part that makes you, well, you.
And just to give you a sense of the sheer complexity we are talking about here, the cerebral cortex contains an estimated 300 trillion synaptic connections. To put that in perspective, that's more connections than there are stars in our entire galaxy. This is the seat of your consciousness.
The cortex is this incredibly intricate, folded-up layer of gray matter that covers the rest of the brain like a thinking cap. And all those wrinkles and folds, they're not just random. They are a brilliant evolutionary trick to massively increase the surface area, letting you pack way more processing power into the tight space of your skull. Now, this cortex is divided up into 4 specialized sections, or lobes. Right behind your forehead, you've got the frontal lobes. That's your executive suite, in charge of planning, speaking, and making judgments. At the top and back, the parietal lobes manage all the sensory input, like touch and body position. At the very back of your head are the occipital lobes, which do one thing: process everything you see. And just above your ears, you've got the temporal lobes, handling everything you hear.
So there you have it. We've toured the brain from the deep, ancient core all the way to the sophisticated outer layers. But you know, the most incredible part isn't what any of these pieces do by themselves.
The real takeaway here is that your brain is a symphony. The deep survival functions of the brainstem, the passionate emotional responses of the limbic system, and the complex rational thoughts of the cortex, they are all seamlessly integrated. They are constantly talking to each other, working together as one unified network to create your entire experience of the world.
And that really leads to one last powerful thought. This incredible network of cells, this amazing architecture inside your head, it doesn't just perceive reality, it actively creates it. It weaves together every sensation, emotion, and memory into the story of your life. So the real question isn't just what your brain is, but what kind of reality you're going to choose to create with it.